parts of this land were owned by Hugh Dobbin, who was an Irishman of Scottish background, ancestry, and he came over here and bought land when it was being subdivided in the early 1700s, and he became a great horse trader. He bred horses here and sold them during the French and Indian War and during the American Revolutionary War. And we have what is called the meadow, just the foothill of the Sugar Loaf Mountain where he used to graze his horses. And he was very well known, actually, in this part of colonial America, Hugh Dobbin.
And according to early land records, the first piece he purchased was just at the base of Sugar Loaf Mountain, where we would be looking towards the right. And he built his house next to a huge rock, which I've never been to. As Dick was saying, he raised horses. He sold them for the rebel effort. And another gentleman, Claudius Smith, was famous for raiding and stealing horses and selling them to the British.
Yes, and would hide out in the ancient Native American rock shelters up here as well. And another really interesting thing is that in 1849, in May of 1849, Hambletonian was foaled on a farm here, on the Seeley farm.
On the other side.
Just on the other side, on the west side of Sugarloaf. And it was so interesting about that was that the stable boy of Mr. Seeley, he was Justice Seeley, Jonas Seeley was a wealthy man, didn't think this horse was going to amount to much. So he sold it to the stable boy, and the stable boy realized this horse was a beautiful horse, and it became the foremost stud for all the pacers and trotters. Almost all of them in America and in much of the rest of the world are direct descendants of Hambletonian. So the most famous living element here, who had the most impact really, was not a human being, but was a horse, Hambletonian. And the stable boy eventually accumulated a fortune of over $250,000 by the turn of the century. He was one of the wealthiest people, and he made his money on breeding, on horse breeding. But again, that was a tradition that you can see went right back to Hugh Dobbin a century before that time.